Hello, my name is Michelle Crowley. I am a student at Eastern Kentucky University, and I am doing my final project for FSE 221. I have chosen Dr. Frank G. Gruich Senior Community Center at 591 Howard Avenue in Biloxi, Mississippi. The inspection was conducted at 0900 hours on Tuesday, November the 28th. This building is an older building built back in the 60s and owned by the city of Biloxi. As a member of the fire department, I was able to get permission to inspect this building. Fire Inspector Skip Ellsworth assisted me. I arrived early to take some pictures of the building from the outside and to tour the outside grounds. The building and surrounding grounds were very clean and well maintained. As you can see, the building is smoke-free and ADA accessible. The structure is a Type 2 protected non-combustible building with a flat roof and 2 stories. The structure is considered light hazardous occupancy as specified under NFPA 13, theaters and auditoriums excluding stages. According to the density curve in NFPA 13, the building is approximately 3,000 square feet and needs a water supply density of 0.07 gallons per minute square foot. So Inspector Ellsworth met me in the front parking lot. The first thing you'll notice is the front address was easy to read from the street and was over 4 inches in height. A Knox box key system, according to the International Fire Code 506, was mounted to the front of the building. I inspected the front entrance, which contained 2 double doors, working exit signs, and an AED, and also an elevator. There was also an annunciator panel that was in that same area. The occupancy load was posted at the front, and it contained 2 floors. The first floor was for 575 persons, and the second floor was 330 persons on the upstairs part, and was showing 11 emergency exits. Originally, this building had an occupancy of over 1,000 persons, and so by International Fire Code, the building had to contain a fire alarm, sprinkler system, and a voice activation evacuation system. The restrooms also had strobe and fire alarm notification devices inside the rooms and emergency lighting, and this is in accordance with NFPA 70 and 72. The entryway had 2 sets of double doors that opened up onto the ballroom and stage area, as you can see here. The annunciator panel was located in the front entrance foyer area. There was also a manual evacuation system with a microphone in there. It could be used to manually evacuate persons from the building, as well as an automated evacuation system. Unfortunately, we realized that the supervisory alarm for the voice communication systems was showing a supervisory alarm or trouble alarm, and Inspector Ellsworth said he would take care of that immediately. You'll notice also that there was a fire alarm inspection tag done by Rebel Sound. It is due now, and they'll have to do that. That is for the notifier. So there is a problem with the panel. From the entrance to the right, there was a kitchen that contained a hood suppression system as required by NFPA 17 and International Fire Code 904.5. The tag on the system was dated October of 2016, and per the NFPA 17A standard, the hood system has to be inspected every 6 months. We also saw a Type K fire extinguisher inside the kitchen area that had appropriate signage over the top according to NFPA 10. It also showed a pull pin for the wet commercial system on one side and also had an inspection tag there. Within that kitchen also there was another strobe light notification device near the hood system. There was manual pull stations by the elevator and by all of the exits per the NFPA 72. By this code, pull stations must be 5 feet from an exit door and have to be 42 to 48 inches from the floor from the activation handle. Also, this code shows a wall-mounted audio-visual device has to be between 80 inches and 96 inches, and that's measured from the ground to the strobe device, as you can see here on the right. The fire extinguishers were placed every 75 feet per NFPA 10 standard for portable fire extinguishers and were due to be inspected this month. Emergency lighting was positioned throughout this building on the inside and outside of the building. This is per NFPA 70. The elevator is in the front entrance and is a hydraulic elevator. It has to be, according to NFPA 13, sprinklered in the elevator shaft, at the front of the doors on each level, and in the elevator room. NFPA 72 requires smoke and heat detectors in the same locations. These devices were about 2 feet apart from each other. That's the most that they can be. You can see that these two smoke alarms and heat detectors are very close together. So what happens is that everything is done in sequence, and NFPA 72 says that the smoke detector will activate the elevator to come to the first floor. The second thing that occurs is the heat detector activates at 135 degrees Fahrenheit, causing what they call a pre-action, so that all of the high voltage electrical system will be shut off, and then the sprinkler will activate at 155 degrees. All of the heat detectors are rated rise detectors that are based on time. As you can also see, I know my picture's in the way a little bit, but the elevator room was completely clear of nothing but the elevator equipment. So low-hanging areas within the ballroom had concealed sprinkler heads, and the sprinkler heads in the higher ceilings were pendant sprinkler heads with an escutcheon ring. Inspector Ellsworth was pointing out that the concealed plate is soldered and melts at 135 degrees Fahrenheit, and the sprinkler bulb, which is red, is broken at 155 degrees Fahrenheit. This is all per NFPA 13 standard. He stated that most of the violations that occur with the sprinklers are missing escutcheon rings around the sprinklers. People paint the sprinkler heads and they must be replaced, not cleaned, per NFPA 13. And cover plates are missing on concealed sprinkler heads and have to be repaired. Then we went to the stage area. Behind the curtain, there was ductwork that had a duct detector in the HVAC system. And it also had an interesting feature, which was a sprinkler head that was underneath the HVAC system. Inspector Ellsworth said that sprinkler has to be positioned there because this is considered an obstruction over 4 feet, and per NFPA 13, it must have a sprinkler head underneath it. On the way to the riser room on the west side of the structure, we encountered some chairs that were being stored under the stairwell. This is a violation because nothing is to be stored under a stairwell unless a sprinkler head has been installed in that location, per NFPA 13. We got out to the riser room and it was locked, but unfortunately there was no sign on the door to the riser room, and that is also a violation of the International Fire Code 505, premise identifications. On the outside of the riser room, there was a fire hydrant located within 100 feet, a post indicator valve in the open position with a tamper switch connection and a notification gong. The fire department connection, as you can see in this picture also, was correct According to a light hazard occupancy, NFPA 13, it needs to be a twin 2.5-inch inlet fire department connection with cover plates. Red fire lane markings were also painted on the roadway next to the sprinkler room. Because this is a wet sprinkler system, the room must be climate controlled and maintained at 40 degrees Fahrenheit at all times. The riser room was last inspected in November of 2015 by Industrial Commercial Fire Protection, which means the sprinkler system is now due to be inspected this month. The inspection tags are all kept in the room from year to year, and the main tag that showed pressures was attached to the system. Inspector Ellsworth said that this is because the inspection team wants to see the inspections completed annually in the system, that the system has no issues. The city pressure was at 55 psi below the clapper valve, and the system pressure was at 75 or about 75 psi above the clapper valve. He pointed out to me the retard chamber and the water flow switch and some other features in the riser room, including the gong. He said that this was an old school way of notification, even though it still works. A water flow device, which you can see here, a water flow switch, works better. It's basically a vane inside of it that notifies the alarm company of system activation. So when the vane inside the flow switch is moved up by water activation, the micro switch sends a message to the alarm panel and says the alarm has been activated. The control valve is open on the sprinkler head on the sprinkler system and situated before the clapper valve on the system. It is a better way to shut off the sprinkler system without shutting off the fire protection water supply to the building through the post indicator valve if maintenance needs to be performed on the system. If the control valve is accidentally kept in the closed position, a tamper switch will send a message in supervisory mode to the panel. After 24 hours, the monitoring company will call the building representative listed to advise them that the system control is in the off position and needs to be opened. The system doesn't want to work. There we go. The sprinkler head box inside the riser room contained a variety of sprinkler heads as required by NFPA 13 that were specific to this building's needs. But one thing that was missing per NFPA 13 also was that there was no wrench inside of there. So that was considered a violation. So there was only a few corrections that needed to be made. The supervisory alarm for the voice command evac system was the major concern and is inoperable and has to be fixed. The riser room needs to be identified on the outside of the door per the International Fire Code 505. The chairs must be removed from under the stairwell per NFPA 13. And of course, a sprinkler wrench needs to be placed inside the sprinkler box in the riser room per NFPA 13. All in all, in summary, the inspection was fairly simple. This building is used quite often for weddings and events, and so it is very well maintained, including the kitchen area. We said that we would re-inspect for the violations that were there in 30 days as per what our fire department normally does. And if they have any questions, then what we do is actually send them an email concerning the inspection and send it to them so they have a copy of it. And of course, if they have any questions, they can call our fire department at 228-435-6200. Thank you, and I appreciate all of the hard work that you guys have done for us in our class this year, or this semester. Thank you very much.